educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at yoursarthi@such.org.in.
Hello and welcome to this special broadcast from WION. My name is Mohammed Saleh. The Olympic Games are just about to begin in Paris in France, and it's after 100 years that the Olympic Games are back in the city of Paris. We'll be getting you all the updates, but first let's take a look as to what is making headlines at this hour. The opening ceremony of the Parisian Olympics has just begun after a day of attacks on the French rail networks. The IOC president Thomas Bach has said that he has full faith in the French authorities despite the attacks. And the Indian contingent is gearing up for the historic opening ceremony at the River Seine. PV Sindhu and Sharath will have the honour of being India's flag bearers. The biggest tennis stars in the world will kick off their Olympic campaign on Saturday. Novak Djokovic, Carlos Alcaraz and Iga Swiatek will all be in action at Roland Garros. So this is the biggest sporting spectacle in the world. The opening ceremony of the Olympic Games are amongst the most watched on television, and they are usually limited to those lucky few who can actually get inside the stadium. But Paris is orbit shifting the rules for the ceremony, which will be held along the banks of the River Seine. So how does it look? Take a look.
Try getting anywhere near the Seine and you are greeted with barricades. The city of love and lights has now been termed the city of barricades by the locals.
I have a permit which authorizes bikes and pedestrians. First they checked it and were going to let me through. And then another police officer came and said no tricycles. And it's the same every time with contradictory information. And I don't know. It's as if the Olympic Games are here just for Macron.
What Paris is attempting is novel and outrageous at the same time. Paris's iconic locations serve as venues for many sports. And to get the entire city involved, the organizers are hosting an opening ceremony. Boats carrying countries replaces the traditional march past, and sportspersons will sail down the Seine to cheering fans on both banks. There had been security concerns raised when the plan was announced, but Emmanuel Macron was convinced, and now Paris has been locked down.
It's a moment which I've been visualizing for the last 2 months since the day I knew I'd be the flag bearer, and I was all excited, and now it's all anxiety.
Over 45,000 security personnel are on the ground with over 100 foreign dignitaries expected to be in attendance, and Paris is also shutting down its airspace.
The opening ceremony is seen like an operation in the operation, and we need to make a special disposal that have never been imagined in France. So the exclusion zone, is 150-kilometer radius around Paris. It means that all the airport will be closed during 5 hours. You will have no aircraft in this zone during 5 hours.
Olympic opening ceremony details are notoriously a closely guarded secret, but there have been a few selective leaks. Celine Dion is in Paris and is expected to perform a duet with Lady Gaga. Dion hasn't performed live in years and hails from the French-speaking part of Canada. The French media is speculating both will sing the timeless French hit, La Vie en Rose. There will be joint flag bearers for each delegation, with the IOC realizing its dream of achieving gender neutrality at these games. LeBron James and Coco Gauff are flag bearers for Team USA. Tom Daley and Helen Grover will be Great Britain's flag bearers, with Elena Svitolina proudly carrying the flag for war-ravaged Ukraine. The hosts have chosen Melina Robert Michon and Florent Manadou to take in the applause from the thousands along the Seine. PV Sindhu and Achantya Sharat Kamal will fly the flag for the Indian team.
I will be the flag bearer for the Indian contingent and I'm super proud. Here are the two small flags, but I'll be really proud and excited, and I'll be holding the bigger one at the opening ceremony.
The Olympic Games in Tokyo took place behind closed doors, and there were no fans in attendance even for the opening ceremony. Paris, on the other hand, is putting fans at the center of these Olympic Games. And this ambitious opening ceremony could rewrite the norms in the Olympic movement. In Paris, at the base of the Eiffel Tower, this is Digvijay Singhdeo for WION.
All right, so it is exactly 7:35 p.m. in the French capital, Paris, and the ceremony, we are given to understand, has begun. My colleague Digvijay Singhdeo is, of course, joining us from the thick of action. Digvijay, this of course, is a huge ceremony, and from the looks of it, it is, of course, happening with a floating parade on the River Seine, where over 7,000 athletes will be part of this floating parade. Give us a sense of what the mood is like there in Paris.
You can see, Sally, over my right shoulder is the famed Notre Dame Cathedral. And see behind me, the action has begun. The action is underway at the moment, and the crowd is involved. They're clapping, they're celebrating, they're here from all parts of the world, not just people from France. And in fact, a special guest, look who's here with me. This is Colonel Mohan Sharma. He is the father of Shubhankar Sharma, who is India's premier golfer. In fact, Shubhankar is playing these Olympics, and Shubhankar is in that boat parade which is going to come down. Colonel Sharma called me saying, I don't have tickets. Digvijay, can you help me? So I asked him. I'm at Saint Michel, so come down here. And Colonel Sharma, you got here just in time. You obviously wore the national colours for the Indian Army, but your son wearing the national colours for India at the Olympic Games.
It's such a big moment, Diggy, for us. Imagine that we're not getting into it. We planned it yesterday, and Indian fiction is as as usual. I really could not. I spoke to people, and they said you go there and find something, which obviously we didn't, but it doesn't matter. We're here now. We're in the right place with the right people. We're enjoying ourselves.
Your daughter's here as well. Come join us. Your brother is going to be part of this opening ceremony. So how proud are you as a family, and what does it mean to see your brother sort of be part of the Indian team for the Olympic Games? Because it's the dream of every athlete to be an Olympian. Your brother's done so well for India in golf, but this must be truly something special, and you've now got a spot to watch him as well, which your father was reaching out to me saying, I can't find him a spot, it's all ticketed, but this is open.
Absolutely. We've been running around the city trying to find this place, and it's really deeply special for us. My brother will probably come down the river and try and wave at him. It's a very proud moment for us. It's a heartfelt moment for all of us, and we're very excited.
Okay, Shubhankar Sharma's family here. We'll get back to them later on. But Saleh, if I could just turn this camera around. Now behind me, you can see a lot of crowd here. And that's the barricade. The police is cordoned off this bridge, because underneath this bridge where I'm standing, the boats will pass. If I turn around again, you can see the Notre Dame Cathedral behind me. You can see lots of people, and then there's an empty road because they're taking no chances. These are the unprecedented opening ceremony of these games, so they don't want anything to go wrong. Helicopters buzzing overhead as well. And as you said, the ceremony has started a short while. Hopefully they'll come down. And the beauty of this opening ceremony, Saleh, you don't need tickets. It's in that part downstream where the Eiffel Tower is. But here where we are, everyone is equal. Everyone is equal. Everyone can enjoy these games.
I think that of course is the differentiator of this opening ceremony that's taking place at this moment in Paris. An estimated 300,000 people is the number of people who are expected to line up along the banks of the River Seine, as 7,000 athletes will of course float by on those little boats in the parade, which is a part of this opening ceremony. But Digvijay, considering the difficult events that have taken place since morning, where there was this arson attack which essentially sabotaged the train system into the Parisian capital. How are the people there reacting to that? What's the mood like there, considering that so many of these people have all assembled there?
No, I don't think at the moment what happened in the morning, Saleh, obviously is disturbing and people are angry. Let's not face it. I think the attention has shifted to the opening ceremony because it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It's part of something historic. In fact, not just Indian, we saw Shivankar Sharma's parents here, but I have some people here from Denmark who are here. They, in fact, traveling to Paris for the games. They haven't got tickets yet. You plan to wave out to your team when it passes in that boat?
Yeah, of course. Yes.
And what brought you to Paris? Was it simply the chance to watch the opening ceremony like this, or just to be a part of the Olympics and soak in the atmosphere of an Olympic venue?
Just to be with the Olympics and the atmosphere.
Okay, and what do you think of the atmosphere? Because so many people over here, just for that one glimpse of the boat of their countries. Lots of chaos this morning as well. If you heard with what happened with the train situation, but you think Paris is giving you that buzz that you're in an Olympic city?
Yes, it does. Really, yeah. We love it. And we're so proud of the athletics from Denmark.
Okay. So Denmark, I found an Indian fan here as well, who's traveled here from Delhi. Like Colonel Sharma, did you coordinate with him to get here? Your name's Piyush, right?
Yes. My name is Piyush.
So are you here as a tourist, or you're only here to watch the Olympic Games?
I've just traveled from Delhi for the games. I'm here to root for, of course, our Indian contingent, and also I'm a big tennis fan. So apart from the Indian tennis scene, I'm here to root for Rafa Nadal. I'm a big Rafa fan as well.
So do you have tickets to watch Rafa?
No, I'm just trying my best to secure one ticket. I'm hopeful that within a day or two I'll get one.
Okay, so you don't need to have a ticket, Saleh, to watch the opening ceremony, because you have to be part of it. To watch tennis and other events, you obviously need tickets, but hopefully they get their tickets. If I could just turn the camera around, and I'm going to raise it. So the frame's going to go a bit distorted, but you can see all the people, and behind me, that's the river, that's the Seine. The boats are going to go right underneath me, underneath that bridge which you see in the distance, and then go towards the Eiffel Tower, which is about 3.5 kilometers down.
Absolutely indeed, Digvijay is saying, do continue to stay on with us. We'll of course come back to you for you to weigh in on a few other aspects. But, Olympics is of course changing. Olympics are back in Paris after a span of a century, and the French capital is set to revolutionize the traditional image of the Games by incorporating some modern sports that resonate deeply with today's youth. The Parisian Games are also emphasizing inclusivity and claim to be the first gender-equal Olympics. Here's a report on the changing face of the Olympics.
A city steeped in history is gearing up for an unprecedented change. For decades, the Olympics have epitomized athleticism through traditional events. When you think of the Olympics, the first images that come to your mind are usually Usain Bolt running away from his competitors on the track, Michael Phelps cutting through the water en route to 23 gold medals, Simone Biles taking the breath away with some gravity-defying moves. Track and field, swimming, gymnastics. These are the marquee sports that have long been the cornerstone of the Olympic Games. But now it's time for change. It's time to focus on these modern sports: surfing, skateboarding, breakdancing, BMX freestyle. These are the sports that resonate with Gen Next. A new era of inclusivity starts in the Olympic movement from Paris 2024. One of the new entrants is breaking. No, it has nothing to do with damaging something, but with dancing. The urban dance style within US hip-hop culture is now going mainstream.
I feel like from us being in the Olympics is gonna grow. Like, it's gonna grow. There's gonna be a new generation of kids that are gonna want to do it, and I'm just excited, man. And yeah, this is like a beautiful art form. You don't need anything. You don't need money. You know, you just need a dance floor. That's it. A dance floor and just yourself, your body, and self-expression.
At Tokyo, skateboarding and BMX freestyle events had the greatest media visibility of the new sports. Organizers have allotted more spots to them in Paris after their successful debut.
I'm grateful to have had the opportunity to compete in such a wonderful competition, and I'm really happy that I was able to win so that more people could see me skating.
French BMX champion Matthias Dandois was given the honor to carry the Olympic torch. He cycled on his bike in front of cheering Games volunteers to the Eiffel Tower.
BMX is going to be in La Concorde. I think one of the most beautiful, if not the most beautiful spots in Paris. They really put us in the center of the Games, and you know, we couldn't be more thrilled. I think we're going to show the world that BMX, skateboarding, break is the best, you know. And we're gonna kick
Yeah.
The Olympics are ushering in a new era, aiming to reconnect with younger audiences, particularly in the pivotal US market. Over 100 years after Paris 1900 gave women a go at the Summer Games, Paris 2024 promises to host the first gender-equal Olympics, where half of the 10,500 Olympians will be women. And if you can wait for 4 years, then T20 cricket makes its debut at the Olympics. The times are indeed changing. Sports Bureau, WION World is One.
All right, so that, of course, is the changing face of the Olympics. And some of these changes have been brought in for making the Olympics much more appealing, especially to the younger audiences. And my colleague Digvijay Singh Dio is, of course, with us from the City of Love, Paris. He's getting us all the updates as they, of course, unfold. The opening ceremony is currently underway. It started at 7:30 p.m. in Paris and will go on for a good 3.5 long hours. Digvijay, this is something that's going to be very interesting and something that's going to be watched very closely. 4 new sports, or at least that's what they're calling that, in Olympics have been introduced. We have sport climbing, we have skateboarding, surfing, and even break dancing that have been brought in as sports, just to make the Olympics much more appealing to a much wider audience. What is the sense of excitement you're picking up from the people there for these new sports?
You know, in fact, Saleh, just before I answer that, you can see behind me, I managed to find a spot where the entire road is empty. And the police are sort of behind me. And the police are sort of now walking down the street. That means the boats are approaching. You can see a lot of people sort of now rushing this side, trying to get a vantage point. Because if you can see behind me, those police personnel, right behind them is the set. As far as the Olympics go, it's been very traditional, hasn't it? You know, but things are changing. I think Tokyo, behind closed doors when it happened, you had 12 and 13-year-olds winning medals in the sport of skateboarding. I think sports like athletics, sports like baseball, all these sort of who have been around, sports like shooting, they're in trouble because now the sole benchmark for the Olympic Games is how do you connect with the new audience? How does that drive up broadcast revenue? It's no surprise that cricket is part of the Olympic Games for the next Olympic Games in 2028. So it's a move from the IOC to modernize as well. In fact, a lot of traditional sports which we see are in danger because breaking, who expected breaking to be part of the Olympic Games? You know, Saleh, if you and I could shake a leg, probably we could get a chance to be Olympians. It's too late for us to get into skateboarding or sport climbing. But I think breaking is something we could try if we want to become Olympians in the future.
It is something that I'm pretty sure people would be watching very closely, but I do not think that it's you and I who could, of course,
be
into
breaking news.
Yeah, we're more used to breaking news. We're more used to breaking news. That's true. And also, Digvijay, looking at the performers this evening, we still do not know who is likely to perform at the opening ceremony. But Celine Dion has been spotted in Paris. Do we at this point of time know whether Celine Dion or perhaps Lady Gaga, who's also been spotted in Paris, are they a part of the performance this evening?
Well, Snoop Dogg definitely was in Paris spotted. He carried the Olympic torch today. But I think the secret on Celine Dion was given away by none other than the president, Emmanuel Macron, who himself answered the question, sort of giving it away. But the other big secret, Saleh, is we know who the flag bearers are, right, in that boat parade. LeBron James, Coco Gauff, PV Sindhu for India with Achanta Sharad Kamal, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the NBA star for Greece. But the big secret right now, the Olympic torch. I mentioned Snoop Dogg. Who lights the Olympic cauldron? The final holder of that Olympic torch. Remember, started in April in Olympia, and then it's traveled all over Greece. It's traveled all over France. It's been in Paris yesterday. It went down to the Olympic Village. But that's also something we are going to watch out for. Who lights the Olympic torch? Remember last time in Tokyo, it was Naomi Osaka.
Absolutely. And Digvijay, I think Lady Gaga is performing at this moment as part of the opening ceremony. So that much is clear, and it's going to be one heck of a performance that we'll, of course, watch out for. We should also talk a bit about the Indian contingent that is there in Paris. Last time around in Tokyo, we managed to win 7 medals. How's the Indian contingent shaping up for their performance in the days ahead?
Well, in fact, I think Indian sport has changed. And Indian sport changed in Tokyo because I was there in Rio at the last in the 2016 Olympics. And India struggled just 2 medals. And since then, there's been that orbit shift. You have a new generation of athletes who are hungry, who don't fear, and who come to these Olympic Games. Sorry, security, Saleh, I have to, right? Who come to these Olympic Games thinking they can win. Earlier, you look at the generation before this, Abhinav Bindra, Gaganaran, all won in the 3rd Olympics, 2nd Olympics, very rarely did you win in your 1st Olympics. Rajyavardhan Rathore, Vijay Kumar, and PV Sindhu were the exceptions. But this generation of athletes only know how to win. They've not seen the hurt of the past. So I think the expectation that there is going to be a double-digit medal tally for India is not over the top. But remember one thing, these are the Olympics, and as Abhinav Bindra always said, you have to be perfect on an imperfect day to win the Olympics. This is the pinnacle of sport. Everyone is coming here with a sense that they have to win an Olympic medal. So it's not going to be easy, but if you perform your best, and luck is on your side. Remember, luck plays a huge role at the Olympic Games. Let's go back to Tokyo. Neeraj Chopra wasn't the most favored for gold, but he still won the gold medal in the men's javelin. You have to be perfect on that day against the rest of the field.
Absolutely, indeed, Digvijay Singh. Thank you very much indeed for joining us and getting us all those updates there. So the opening ceremony of the Olympics 2024 in Paris is well and truly underway, and it is one heck of a spectacle. 300,000 people, that's the number of people who have gathered along the banks of the river Seine to watch this spectacle, and it is an extraordinary one. 7,000 athletes, they'll of course be floating down on many boats in that extraordinary flotilla down the river Seine. Thank you very much indeed, Digvijay. We'll of course come back to you as the story unfolds. But this is what the scene looks like. The Paris Games are well and truly underway. We'll slip into a short break. More updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned to WION.
India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
This week on the West Asia Post. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu sparks protests and boycotts as he arrives in the US to seek support for the war in Gaza. Questions loom over Gaza's future as Palestinian rivals agree to form a unity government. Israeli forces strike Yemen's oil port city, triggering fresh fears of a wider conflict. Also on the show, a polio outbreak in the Gaza Strip and an assassination attempt on a former Iranian president. Watch the West Asia Post with me, Radi Francis, only on WION. World is one.
Europe tries to nip the migration menace in the bud at a forum in Libya, with the Italian Prime Minister warning people facilitating what she termed desperation of the fragile North Africans. Cameroonian LGBTQ+ rights group praises the courage of Brenda Biya, the daughter of Cameroon's president, for announcing she is in a same-sex relationship on social media. And suffering frequent war-triggered 15-hour power outages, Sudanese people escaped to the beach as temperatures soar in the coastal city of Port Sudan. World of Africa at these times on WION. World is one.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION. World is one.
The quest for an Olympic medal is sport's greatest pursuit. Over 10,000 sportspersons are descending on Paris to realize their dreams.
The Olympics is a sweet way, but it comes with pressure.
The Olympic Games are the pinnacle of sport, and they demand sacrifices from both sportspersons and those covering it. I'm Digvijay Singhdeo, and I will be tracking the best in sport over the next 3 weeks from here in Paris.
Can India's sporting stars double their tally from Tokyo? Will new stars emerge, or will sport's big names maintain their stranglehold? Watch Gunning for Glory through the Paris Olympics at these times on WION.
Economic turmoil and global unrest have cast a shadow over President Joe Biden's approval ratings.
The rockets are continuing to be fired by Hamas in Gaza, although at a slower rate than previously.
So, right now, we are with the volunteers from the Aleppo municipality. They are still trying to go to the rescue for the people they can find out.
India has emerged as a major diplomatic force at the world stage.
The rising cost of living in Nigeria continues to impact citizens from all walks of life.
The citizens of Gujarat witnessed a mega roadshow here in the city of Ahmedabad.
China is South Africa's largest trading partner for 134 years straight.
A domestic aircraft carrying 72 people on board crashed in Pokhara city in central Nepal.
165 injuries have been moved, 61 people are confirmed dead, and rescue operations continue around me.
After receiving an entire season's rainfall in a span of 48 hours, Chennai City has literally been brought to its knees.
For WION, World is One.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Race to Power. My name is Mohammed Saleh, and here's what we've got lined up for you in the next 30 minutes. The American Vice President Kamala Harris and the Democrats' presidential hopeful has set a new precedent on Washington's approach to the state of Israel. Does her toughened stance indicate a serious shift, or is this a well-timed move ahead of the elections? And we'll also be getting you updates from Venezuela, where the stage is in fact set for an action-packed election. The question the world leaders are of course asking is, will polling in the country be peaceful? Finally, days after the American President Joe Biden backed her for the presidential race, Kamala Harris has secured an unequivocal public endorsement from the former President Barack Obama and also his wife Michelle Obama. Latest polls show that Kamala Harris is narrowing down the lead against the Republican nominee Donald Trump. In a video live call, the Obamas are telling Harris that she has their full support and that she will make a fantastic president. In a post that was put out on X, the campaign said that the video was the actual call and not a reenactment of Obama's call.
Kamala.
Hello. Hi.
Hey there.
Oh, hi, you're both together.
I can't have this phone call without saying to my girl Kamala, I am proud of you. This is going to be historic.
We called to say Michelle and I couldn't be prouder to endorse you and to do everything we can to get you through this election and into the Oval Office.
Oh my goodness. Michelle, Brock, this means so much to me. I am looking forward to doing this with the two of you, Doug and I both, and getting out there, being on the road. But most of all, I just want to tell you the words you have spoken and the friendship that you have given over all these years mean more than I can express. So thank you both. It means so much. And we're going to have some fun with this too, aren't we?
Meanwhile, the Democrat presidential candidate Kamala Harris is also narrowing down the gap with Donald Trump. A series of polls that have been conducted since the American President Biden ended his re-election bid show that Kamala Harris and Trump are in fact beginning their head-to-head contest on roughly equal footing. A New York Times poll conducted in collaboration with Siena College shows that Trump is marginally ahead of Harris, 48% to 46% amongst the registered voters, compared with a lead of 49% to 41% over Biden in early July. On the other hand, a YouGov poll conducted for The Times shows that 44% of the voters have very or somewhat favorable opinion of Trump in comparison to 41% of the voters who indicated that they have a favorable opinion of Harris. Another poll by Emerson College in collaboration with Hill shows Harris is closing down the gap with Trump in 5 critical battleground states: Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Now, according to this poll, Donald Trump still narrowly leads Harris in all states except Wisconsin. In Arizona, 49% of the people reportedly support Trump, while 44% support Harris. In Georgia, Trump has garnered about 48% support, as against 46% for Harris. In Michigan, Trump has a 46% lead to Harris at 45%. In Pennsylvania, 48% of the people are in favor of Trump, while 46% reportedly favor Harris. In Wisconsin, there's a 47% support for both Harris and Trump, and the poll also includes registered voters in other states as well. If you look at some of the key issues in this election, Trump continues to remain the most trusted candidate on issues such as economy and immigration. He's also ahead on the issues of foreign policy and crime. So as the presidential election battle between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris intensifies, another move by the American vice president is grabbing all the eyeballs. Kamala Harris's statement on her meeting with Netanyahu and also her absence from the Israeli Prime Minister's speech to the US Congress is being seen by many as a clear snub to Netanyahu. Now, Kamala Harris met with Netanyahu at the vice president's ceremonial office a day after his speech. In the meeting, Harris, while maintaining Washington's support for the state of Israel, has said that she will not be silent on the dire humanitarian conditions that have been brought about in the Gaza Strip.
What has happened in Gaza over the past 9 months is devastating. The images of dead children and desperate, hungry people fleeing for safety, sometimes displaced for the second, third, or fourth time. We cannot look away in the face of these tragedies. We cannot allow ourselves to become numb to the suffering, and I will not be silent.
Now, Kamala Harris gave Netanyahu's congressional address a miss to attend an annual sorority in Indianapolis. Now, the vice president's absence has raised a number of questions on whether the US-Israel ties will witness a shift should Kamala Harris win the elections in November and assume office. The move is also considered a big statement in itself because traditionally, whenever a foreign leader addresses a joint US Congress session, it is customary for the Speaker of the House and the Vice President of the nation to be seated behind the Speaker. Now, that was the case during Netanyahu's earlier congressional addresses in 1996, and then the then Vice President Al Gore had sat in one of the chairs behind him. In 2011 as well, the then Vice President Joe Biden had resumed his position behind the Israeli Prime Minister. But this time round, the Vice President's seat was empty at the US Congress. The presumptive Democrat presidential nominee's remarks signal what many are calling a pretty drastic change in tone when it comes to the US's policy on Israel. But the timing of it has also raised questions on whether Harris will be taking a pretty tougher stance against Netanyahu, or is it a pre-election gimmick? And to give us more updates, insights on this, we're being joined by Mr. Jonah Blank, he's joining us live from Washington, D.C. Now, Mr. Blank is in fact a former foreign policy advisor to President Joe Biden. Mr. Blank, thank you very much indeed for joining us here on WION. And this, of course, is going to be talked about a lot. The fact that Kamala Harris decided to skip Benjamin Netanyahu's address to the Congress, and also the statement that she's put out, that she's not going to remain silent in the face of such dire humanitarian catastrophe that is unfolding at this moment in Gaza. Do you think this is a message that is now registered with Netanyahu?
Well, thank you for having me. I do think this is a message that has registered and definitely should register with Prime Minister Netanyahu. Vice President Harris's words were far more compassionate towards Palestinian suffering and foregrounding Palestinian suffering than we've heard from President Biden or from any recent president. And this really does matter. Now, I think it is important that she is skipping the joint session of Congress, and I think it's the right move. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's remember the last time that Netanyahu addressed a joint session of Congress was 2015. And the vice president also skipped that session. That vice president was Joe Biden.